Hi, good morning students. Myself Siddharth. Today I am going to present second PU first chapter in computer science, that is typical configuration of a computer system. Dear students, before going to this chapter, let us discuss about some weightage of this chapter. So in this chapter, usually for examination, that is 4 marks, one 1 mark question and one 3 mark question will come. So this is the question paper criteria for this chapter, and also this is a very first and basic chapter for all the next whatever we will discuss in the chapters. And also in this chapter we are going to learn some configurations. So if you are observing on screen the word configuration, that means it has some hardware and its properties. Usually whenever we are going to purchase any devices like electronic devices or any devices, we will check its specifications, means its size, memory size, color, company, and also some like this. If you want to purchase any mobiles, for example, how much RAM it is and how much capacity it will store, how many megapixel camera in this phone, and what are all the features for that particular phone. Like that we will inquire that particular device. Like that, for each and every electronic device we have a configurations. That means it's hardware configurations. Of course, not only hardware, and it's a software configurations too. So in this chapter, dear students, we are going to learn these type of the topics specially. That is a typical configurations of a computer systems. So directly we will move to introduction part. So as we know the definitions of the computer, there is an electronic device which will process the inputs and it gives the exact results. So on your screen we are showing some words to you. Computer system is equals to hardware plus software plus user. See dear students, with the presence of hardware and also a software, if it is both are there, without any users, if it is without any users is if you are this particular devices are working, means that's impossible. We need any users. So hence the users also very important, they will play the very important role for the computers. If users are there, then only these kinds of the systems will work properly, and also we will utilize that devices. So that's why computer system needs not only a hardware and software, as well as users also very important. So remember the point, students. And coming to the very exact topic of the typical configuration of the computer system, that is in that first one is, that is a microprocessor. Dear students, I think if you remember in first year we discussed some generations of the computer. In the generations of the computer, this is also a particular device invented. So in third or for second or third generations, we will coming to know this particular device. So microprocessor is a processing unit in a microcomputer, popularly known as a personal computer. See, in this name itself, the function of the particular device is there. As you saw in the screen, it will process. What it will process? It will process the what will give the inputs to the computer. That will be processed, and it will make it into giving exact results. So this is what we call as function of the microprocessor. Usually these kinds of the microprocessors will not only in a type of the microcomputers, this is also we will call another name, but is a personal computers. So in almost all the computers, this processor must be present, and also the function is that will be process what we will give the input. Based on that, that will be a work properly. So, or one more definition if we want to say means, microprocessor is a CPU. Now you know the abbreviation CPU, Central Processing Unit. Microprocessor is a CPU. In a microcomputer or a microprocessor is an IC. If you are observing on screen, IC. IC stands for integrated chip or integrated circuit. So which has a capability to process the given database on the instruction. So based on the instructions, this particular microprocessor will work properly. So this is the definitions, this is what we will say, that is microprocessor and its functionality. Very unique and also very important devices to the computer. Of course, this is a part of the computer. So let us discuss about the microprocessor in later when the review of that particular block diagram of each computer. Then coming to the exact review of block diagram of computer system. Dear students, we learned already in first year, that is a block diagram of the computer. Here also the same diagram, same components what we will discuss in the earlier classes. So same particular devices and same particular pictorial representation also. So let us see, before going the diagram, see the functional units of the computers are shown in the block diagrams. What are all the functional units are there in the block diagram, that will be shown in the diagram. And for the easy understanding, mainly consists of the following 4 major units. We will bifurcate the units into major 4 units. They are see, let us I will show you the diagram. That is what we called as the functional components of a computer. Dear students, if you are observing clearly, the first part is what we called as input unit. As we said earlier, it has a 4 major units. In that, the first unit is input unit. And if we coming to the second unit, that is a central processing unit, CPU, central processing unit, CPU, and also it contains some some functions and devices. Let us discuss later. And very third important unit is memory unit. In that memory unit, we will coming to know what is primary memory, what is secondary memory, all these kinds we will discuss in this memory unit. This is the third unit. And also the fourth unit is, that is output unit. After what we will give the inputs to the processing, after processing it will coming to the memory. After the memory, 100% we will coming to know the result, means we need some extra output devices, that is what we called as output unit. In that unit we will get some output devices. Through that devices we will get some exact result. So that is also a very important unit. So now, according to the block diagram of the computer, we have 4 major units, one by one once again. Input unit, central processing unit, output unit, and a memory unit and output unit. So these are all 4 functional units to the block diagram of the computer. See, in the first unit, input unit. Dear students, if you are observing on diagram, whatever the inputs we will give, that inputs we will give for this in particular unit with the help of some mouse, keyboard, joystick, and some other particular input devices. Through that devices we will give inputs to the particular input unit. When we are giving the inputs to the computer through these devices, 100% computer will accept the inputs and make that units into processing unit. It will passes that a particular what we will send the instructions to the input unit, that will convert into central processing unit. Inside that central processing unit we will get some particular devices like control unit, arithmetical logical unit ALU, CU control unit, and also registers. So these three main components are present in between that central processing unit. Let us see what will be the functionalities of all these individual devices. And now coming to the memory unit, third unit, memory unit. Inside the memory unit, we will get two categories. One is primary memory and second one is secondary memory. We will store the data in different manner, and what are all the devices we will use to store the data, that we will discuss in this particular unit. And also final unit, that is output unit. Whatever we will get a result, that all the results we will particularly get from these particular unit through monitors, printers, plotters, and output projectors, output devices like. So these are all the some output devices. Through these devices we will get exact results and we are able to see the results. So this is what a pictorial representation or a black diagram of the computer, dear students. Now let us see one by one what are all the unit and its particular functionalities. See, if we are coming to the input unit, you just take a reference with the diagram. I am explaining this, whatever the input unit, whatever the central processing unit, and whatever the memory and output unit will do. Okay. So if we are coming to the first and very important unit to the computer, that is input unit. This unit, using this unit, we provide some instructions and data as an input. Computers needs to receive the data and the instruction in order to solve any problem. Keyboard and mouse are the most commonly used input devices. Dear students, as we said earlier, keyboard and mouse are very important devices to give the input to the computers. So this is what that statements will explaining. Then after the input unit, if you are coming to the second very important unit, that is central processing unit, CPU. So in the CPU, if you are observing CPU, it executes the instructions and process the data. It executes the instructions and process the data. The function of the CPU is interrupt the instructions in the program and execute them one by one. It will execute the instructions, it will execute the programs one by one. It is one by order. These particular instructions will be performed through that programs. And it consists of three main units, subunits in the central processing unit. So what are all the three main units inside the central processing unit? So let us coming to that sub part of the CPU. In that, the first one is, that is ALU or arithmetic unit. So in the arithmetic unit, as we said earlier, in this unit some arithmetical operations will perform like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. In the arithmetical logical unit, A means arithmetical operator, L means logical operators or operations. Then what are all the logical operators we have? See, dear students, in computer we have the logical operators like logical AND, logical OR, logical NOT. All these three basic logical operations have its individual operation. So based on these logical operators also, the ALU unit will perform. Like what the logical AND will do, it will compare, like a comparison for AND operation and OR operations and so on. It will, we are using for AND and OR and logical, we have some functionality, different functionality for all these particular operations. And NOT means it will inverse. It will convert that into its complements. So like that we have some different function for all these logical operators. Then whenever in the arithmetic or logical operators is to be performed, the required data are the transferred from the memory unit to the registers and the ALU. Of course, dear students, we need a particular amount of data to perform all these particular whatever the operators are there, arithmetic or logical operators. Then once the operations is performed, the result is returned back to the registers. Dear students, here registers will be acting as a storage unit, stores the small amount of the memory. And then memory unit, in short, that's what we stores a small amount of data. ALU is responsible to perform all the arithmetic and logical operations in a computer system. Whatever arithmetical and logical operations will perform in the computer, that is because of ALU unit. After the ALU unit, we have one more unit in the particular CPU, that is a control unit. The name itself telling what is the function of control unit. It controls. What it controls? See, as the name implies, it controls and coordinates. Dear students, you should underline these two words. It controls and coordinates. It controls and coordinates with other parts of the computer system. It will controls and coordinates with other parts of the computer system. It has got a circuit to check the sequence of the operations. It has got the circuit to check the sequence one by one operations it will be performed. And with the help of the timing and control unit, TCU. Abbreviation, one more abbreviation. CPU means central processing unit. Here TCU, timing and control unit. Timing and control unit, TCU. So it fetches the program. Instructions from the memory unit and decodes the executes instructions. It also controls the input and output devices. What is the main operations of the control unit? It will controls and coordinates input and output devices and directly the overall functions of the other units in a computer. It will directly controls overall whatever the other units are there in the computer. It will be controls and coordinates. This is what the functionality of the control unit. And if you are coming to the one more small unit, that is a register. So inside the register, what will be the particular within the CPU, these registers will be present. These are special purpose high speed temporary memory. This is a temporary memory, but it is in high speed. It will be within a CPU. They can hold varied information, different types of the informations it will be stored, such as data, information, address, and it intermediates the results of calculations. All these kinds of the data will be stored very shortly and speedily, very speedest unit. That's what the registers will do. And CPU's working memory, essentially they are used to temporarily hold the data and instructions. So whatever the instructions we have in the address of the CPU currently working on. So this is what a particular registers will perform. See, sometimes registers will store a small amount of the data what we are working based on that some devices that will be stores automatically. And the different registers are PC, program counters, IR, instruction registers, MAR, memory address register. Dear students, sometimes in examination they may ask abbreviations. In this chapter, so many abbreviations will come. Just whenever we are pronouncing the particular characters, MAR, memory address register, note down these abbreviations, very important, because of from this chapter we have one 1 mark question and one 3 marks question. For 1 mark question, this is a type of the question they may ask, that is expand, abbreviate, what is, define. These kinds of the questions will perform. So that's why remember the abbreviations. MAR, this is a some question in previous question paper, we saw this question, expand MAR, expand MBR. So MAR, memory address register, MBR, memory buffer registers, and some general purpose of the registers we are using in computers. So this is what we call as registers in the CPU. Then coming to the third important unit, that is memory unit. So in the memory unit, use it to store the programs, data and the results. See, in the results, before going to the displaying of the results, what the data is stored in the two forms, that is in maybe in a temporary form or in permanent form. So there are two mainly types of the memory, that is primary and secondary. Primary memory and secondary memory. The primary memory consists of RAM and ROM, dear students. In first year we discussed about what is RAM and what is ROM. These two kinds of the primary memories will store the same memory in different manner, like a permanent and temporary. Okay, read only memory, random access memory. So RAM and ROM and RAM, and we will coming to the main definitions of RAM and ROM. So random access memory, RAM holds the program and a data is required to process by the CPU and the processed data. While the instructions and the data remain main memory, the CPU can access them directly and quickly, dear students. The more importantly, the content of the RAM exists till the power supply is provided to the computer. Whenever up to the computer will on, these kinds of the memories will stores in a computer. When the power will off for the computer, power will off, automatically what the stored data will be erased automatically. This is what RAM will perform. This is a what up to completions of the work, these kinds of the memories will perform. Whenever we switch off the computer, whenever we will turn off the computer, automatically these kinds of the memories will be erased automatically. Then coming to the second part, that is ROM or OM, read only memory. So it is also a type of the primary memory, of course, but which contains important programs and we can only read. This is the important point. We can only read from, we cannot write anything. We cannot write anything on it. However, primary memory is quite expensive and has a limited storage capacity. Of course, you compare this primary memory with some other secondary memories, like some whatever secondary memory devices like pen drives, memory cards, hard disk, okay, compact disk drives, digital video discs, Blu-ray discs. So we have so many secondary devices. Compared to these kinds of the devices, a primary memory device is a little bit expensive. So this is one key point to the primary memories. Then one more point. To store the programs and the data, any other informations permanently will stores. If you want to store a permanent data in computer, then you should use a secondary type of the memory, because until the users will delete, this type of the memory unit will not delete anything. So many devices are there in the secondary storage memory units. Until the user deletes, this will not do anything. It is used for the computer system. Secondary memory is also called backup memory. You know, students, backup means sometimes we will copy the same original data in some other places, because if we lost the original data, then duplicate data we have a chance to retrieve. So that is what backup. We have a chance to store a same memory in some other place. That is what we call as backup memory. So that is backup. So secondary storage unit is also called as backup memory. So in that is a name. So it provides stored informations to the computer system and when it required. Some commonly used secondary storage devices like hard disk, compact disc CDs, and flash memories, floppy disk, magnetic tapes. These devices nowadays we are not using, dear students. Floppy disk, magnetic tapes, and whatever some related to magnetic tapes or floppy disks. This is outdated devices. Nowadays we are using pen drives instead of a floppy disk and magnetic tapes. Pen drives, memory cards, external hard disk, Blu-ray disc. So these kinds of the secondary storages devices we are using, dear students. Then coming to the last unit of that particular black diagram of the computer, that is output unit. So it provides out in the output unit, fourth unit, that is output unit. It provides the results to the users with the help of some devices. Okay, it will give the exact results. See, output devices are connected to output unit, displays the information. Of course, it will displace the information, and output unit is information may be in the form of plain text, formatted text, picture, audio, video, etc. AV, multimedia. So in these kinds of the any one type of that we will get the results. That's why outputs are always in the forms of multimedia. It may accept audios, videos, text, normal text, formatted text, anything. There are so many output devices used in the computer systems, like we have so many devices. What we will see: monitor, projectors, printers, speakers. When we are hearing the sound with the help of speaker is also an output device. So this is what are some output devices and its functionality and devices what we will discuss. So this is a black diagram of the computer and detailed description regarding to the black diagram. Now dear students, after the black diagram of the computer, now we will moving to the one more important topic of this chapter, that is motherboard. See, a computer motherboard is a large printed circuit board. Underline the word, dear students. PCB. PCB, printed circuit board. In examination, they may ask abbreviation. Expand PCB, printed circuit board. So motherboard is a large printed circuit board that connects different components like CPU, RAM, hard disk drive, HDD, hard disk drive, BIOS, BIOS, basic input output system, chipset, IO slots, input and output slots, etc. This is a main device. It will connect whatever the CPU, RAM, HDD, BIOS, chipset, IO slots, etc. It's sometimes referred to as a main board system, system board or logic board. In short, we will call that is MOBO. Sometimes MOBO, that is a motherboard. So this is what the definitions of the motherboard. See dear students, in a computer, inside the CPU, which is the major component of a computer, if any questions will come for the one mark, that is 100% motherboard. So we have some different characteristics. Before going to the characteristics, some other key points we will discuss about for the motherboard. So a motherboard that allows different components of the computer system interact with each other. Of course, it will interact with each other. Then all the components of the motherboard are connected each other using small wires properly called tracks or bus. Students, inside the computer, if any devices are connected through the wire, that means that wires are called here, that is tracks or bus. We will call that particular device name in a technical name, that is bus or a tracks. Bus, bidirectional usage switch. Okay, next. Then these wires or tracks bus carries signals. What that will be do? It carries the signals among the CPU socket. Socket means a particular place where we store the CPU, or where we store the processor. That is what we call as processor socket or a particular CPU socket. Then RAM slots, chipset, IO slots, power connector, hard disk drives, optical drives, ports, etc. All the devices it will be connected through these kinds of the buses and tracks. So this is what some key points to the motherboard. And system bus consists of, in bus also we have some categories. System bus consists of address bus, data bus and control bus. We have three categories in the system bus. That is address bus, data bus and control bus. This is also one 3 marks question, dear students. Mention the different system bus inside the CPU. Three buses: address, data and control. Now we will move for the characteristics of the motherboards, dear students. So motherboards are characterized mainly depending on, see, these are all the major key points to the characteristics of the motherboard. Based on these three characters, we classify the characteristics of the motherboard. That is, one is a socket, CPU socket. Second one is chipset. And third one is form factor. Based on these three, that is what we will classify as the motherboard of characteristics are classified. So inside that, if you are coming to the first point of the particular CPU socket, the characteristics of the motherboard, whatever the components we have in the CPU socket. See, CPU socket is in a place of the motherboard where the processor is installed. CPU socket is in a place where the motherboard where a processor is installed. So that is what we called as processor socket, where we motherboards are placed. That is, that place is called as socket. So that is what? The number of pins in the socket and type of the socket determines the type of the processor supported. Inside this socket, how many types of the pins we are using, which type of the processors will support. So these things we'll learn about in the processor socket. For a particular processor, compatible motherboard only should be selected. For almost nowadays we have different types of the motherboard. Almost a new type of the motherboard, ATX motherboards what we are using. But in previously we are using some motherboards. We will discuss later that. So based on the compatibility, all motherboards will not suit for all computers. All motherboards will not accept all the devices. Based on some compatibility, these computers will be work. So that is what. So some motherboards support only specific type of the Intel or AMD processors. Almost all the motherboards nowadays, these two are the tech giants companies, Intel and AMD. So these two are very big companies, will manufacturing different types of the processors, Intel and AMD processors. We have so many versions in Intel and as well as in AMD also. So if you are coming to an examples for Intel and its versions of the motherboard and its processors, that is Intel Core 2 Duo, Intel Core i3, Intel Core i5, Core i7 present. We are using these kinds of the processors by Intel company. For example, motherboard which supports for Core i3 processor does not support Core 2 Duo and Core i5 processor. So this is what a main unique property of the motherboards. If it is a board with i3, these i3 board will not support for the processor what we have the i5 and previous version Core 2 Duo. So this is what that statement is defining. Then after a processor socket, if you are coming to the second important characteristics, before going to the second characteristic, if you are able to observe the diagram, dear students, see, this is what we called as, it's very clearly showing processor socket. I am show with the diagram also. See what the black space, this is a clip like structure. On this a particular place only we will fetch the processor, and after the fetching of the processor, this what the upper part is there, we will lock that particular system for any restrictions. We have a chance for the lock also like this, and after that will be locked. So particular this place is what we called as processor socket, dear students. Remember. Then after the processor socket, if you are coming to the very important point, characteristics, that is chipset, second. So a chipset, its controller is a small chip which has been designed to look after a particular job. For example, hard disk controller is designed to take care of the data transfer between hard disk and memory. So this is what the functions of the chipset. It will controls what the data will be transferred between the hard disk drive to the memory. If you are observing the diagram, dear students, a chipset, it controls and coordinates the functions. So it contains some north bridge and south bridge usually. It has a link between north bridge and south bridge. Each bridges having different again devices. North bridge containing RAM, CPU and AGP, accelerated graphic ports, AGP. And south bridge contains some BIOS, IO, PCI, EIDE and USB. So these kinds of the devices, we will discuss later what are all these devices, what are its functionalities. But if you are closely observe this diagram, this is what bridges, how the bridges and its particular devices are linked in between. North bridge and south bridge. North bridge containing some devices and south bridge containing some other devices. Okay, so these are the some devices. Then in the chipset, very a key point, technical key point, you should understand, it will controls and coordinates with the functionalities of the devices. If for example they are given some what are all the functionalities of the north bridge and south bridge in detail, but we will briefly explain about the north bridge and the south bridge. See here, the north bridge and the south bridge are used to manage the data traffic. Why we are using north bridge and south bridge? It is used to manage a data traffic on the motherboard. Data traffic on the motherboard. We will discuss in detail what is north bridge and what is south bridge. But in generally, if you want to say, all the north bridge and south bridge is used to manage a data traffic. Remember the word, students. It will manages data traffic on the motherboard. So this is what north bridge and south bridge will perform. Then coming to the exact how the north bridge will be operate with the diagrams I will show. So before going to the diagram, the north bridge is a controller. It controls the flow of data between CPU and the RAM and the external graphics ports like AJP and PCI Express. AGP, accelerated graphic port. PCI, so peripheral component interference. Peripheral component interference. So these kinds of the particular graphic ports we are using in the north bridge. So north bridge connects the faster data and transfers the components. Usually north bridge IC is located near the CPU socket and the motherboard. Where it will be located? They may ask one more question. Where the north bridge will locate? It will be located. IC is located near the CPU and the socket on the board. CPU socket on the board. So if you are able to see the diagram, see, dear students. So this is what RAM slot, AJP slot, north bridge and CPU socket. I will show clearly. See. So these slots are what we are observing, block parallel like structures. This is what we call as RAM slot. And some pin like structures if you are observing clearly. So this is what we call as north bridge. And where we place the processor, this is what we called as processor socket, and AGP slots, where we place the accelerated graphic cards. So this is what we called as AGP slots. So dear students, if you want a more RAM speed, if you want to increase your RAM speed for the gaming purpose, on that time we are using these kinds of the slots, and we will fix some external RAM to the particular board. So here this will be help for the accelerated means it will increase accelerated graphic port. It will increase the speed of the system by boosting the video enhancing. That's why for gaming purposes these kinds of the slots we will definitely require. That's why some vendors, some retailers, when you are purchasing a laptop or a computer, they will ask some question. If you want more speed of the computer, because if you are playing games in a computer, 100% you need a more RAM, because some games and its requirements, it needs a minimum memory. That's what RAM says. So that's why all computers will not support for all games nowadays. Whatever you are playing, like a PUBG or whatever, NFS, IGI Constraint, so many games are there, advanced games are there. If you want to play these kinds of the games, you need a more RAM. So that is why a extra RAM if you want for some laptops, and that time these kinds of the slots will help accelerated graphic ports. So this is what functionalities of particular devices, remember. Then after this, if you are coming to the Southbridge devices, so what are all the Southbridge devices? So many devices will connect to the Southbridge. So mainly for the Southbridge, the main important device that will connect to the Southbridge is keyboard, then HEA controller, PCI controller, USB controller, and other functions such as PS2, personal systems, and 2, etc. So these kinds of the devices will maximum devices will links to the Southbridge. So this is what Southbridge will perform. Both Northbridge and Southbridge will be performed to control the traffic data on the motherboard. Then if you are observing, so this is what some components of the Southbridge. Then after this, if you are closely observing the Southbridge, what the major function of the Southbridge. So this is what inside the CPU, Northbridge C connected to the Southbridge, some Southbridge C. These are all the devices will connect. HDD, hard disk drive, USB, okay, and NIC, sound clips, sound cards, PCI cards, ports, RAM ports, some OB types of the cards we are using. So these kinds of particular devices are connected to the Northbridge as well as Southbridge. They may ask question regarding the Northbridge and Southbridge also. So next, one note point you should consider, dear students. What are all EXG on that diagram we are observing? That is ext.gr and obgr. GR means here a graphic. Okay, GR, graphic. So here ext, external graphics, and OB, onboard graphics. Okay, onboard graphics. GR means here graphics, OB means onboard, EXT, external graphics. So this is what Northbridge and Southbridge, and a particular function of the Southbridge definition, see on the screen if you are observing closely. So the chipset Southbridge combines the number of controller functions like keyboard controller, USB controller, HDD controller, PCI, inbuilt sound and display controllers into a single chip. The Southbridge controls the data transfer slower devices, and it passes the data through the link channel which connects the Northbridge. Of course, through the Northbridge only the data will be transferred. So this is what we called as a Southbridge and its functionality. And they may ask one question here, one more question. What is disk controller will do? See here, disk controller is a hardware. HDD, hard disk controller. Disk controller is a hardware. It is an IC which can controls the data transfer between device and the CPU or memory. For example, display a controller, USB controller, memory controller, hard disk controller. We have so many different types of the controllers we have. So main functionality of the device controller is, that is, it will transfers the data between device and CPU memory. So this is what the function of device controller. Then after this, one more characteristics of the motherboard, that is form factor, third one, and very important motherboard characteristics, form factor. See, yeah. So the form factor determines the size and shape of the motherboard. Underline these two words, dear students. Size and shape of the motherboards. Size and shape of the motherboards. And also determines what kind of the cables or cabinet case it will be a fit into the computer. What kind of the cable, what kind of the cabinet or what kind of the cable it will be fetches to the particular board. This is also will be decided by the form factor. While there are those of the some form factors from the desktop computers, the most of them either absolute developed by specialized purposes. Some of the early days, the absolute motherboards includes, what are all the types of the motherboards we have? That is XT motherboard, AT motherboard, baby AT motherboard, and present days, that is ATX motherboard. So these are all the types of the motherboards we have. Later discuss about these three types of the motherboard. But before going to that, what will be the major functionality of the form factor chip, characteristics of the motherboard? It will be determines size and shape of the motherboard, whether that is in a horizontal shape or in vertical shape. So the either horizontal or vertical, square shaped or triangular shape, whatever the shape. So this is what will be decided, everything will be decided in a form factor. So this is about the form factor of the computer and its characteristics. Then after this, we will go for types of the motherboard. Very important, the types of the motherboard. So before going to the types of the motherboard, on your screen I will show some motherboards what we are using. The first board, if you are observing, standard ATX motherboard. Nowadays, the present days we are using these kinds of the board, ATX motherboard, advanced extended technology. So this is what ATX motherboards, so many ports, slots, pins are supported, and this is what we call as a present day motherboard. And micro ATX motherboard, mini ATX motherboard, so many previous XT motherboards we are also P4 for the P4 systems we are using. Later we will discuss some motherboard and its components. So dear students, until now we will discuss about some black diagram of the computer and some motherboard and its characteristics of the motherboard, whatever the characteristics of the motherboard, based on which criteria we classify all these characteristics. So dear students, in the next class we are know to, that is types of the motherboard and how the motherboard will do some functionalities based on some of the devices, and also what are all the power supply and how the power supply unit will work. So, and what are all the components of the motherboard. All these particular concepts will be discussed in the next class. Dear students, practice these particular topics what we discussed, because it's a very basic and very important topic too. Thank you.